Number one, collapse of the Golden State Empire. And I think it primarily comes from the way that they lost and the circumstances surrounding the loss. First of all, the Kings team was, of course, very hobbled. When you don't have your biggest bench guy and a starter, so you scooch someone up, what does that ultimately mean? It means you have a thinner bench, and you saw most of the starters for Sacramento playing 38 minutes, 36 minutes, 37 minutes. Golden State, on the other hand, did not really have any injuries, and they just got bodied. It became clear towards the end that there was a significant amount of added pressure around the success of this season, given that the core dynasty guys probably would not have another run together. Steph, of course, signed his extension, matches perfectly with Kerr's. Draymond got his deal. Klay Thompson is not. Very, very interesting question down the line. Their shoulders got hunched and they got very timid. Draymond, again, wasn't very physical. Klay couldn't throw a rock in the ocean. And you saw that by the plus-minus differentials. And that even extends out to, again, like Chris Paul. It seemed like he, of course, I know he's a late acquisition, surely. Probably a pretty weird position to be in, frankly. But all of the veteran guys on this team crumbled from the moment. And I don't think it was just the pressure of the play-in. It wasn't the pressure of a hungry Sacramento team that they beat in Game 7 last year, and of course they were out for vengeance. There wasn't a ton of confidence in the core guys of the dynasty that they would have another crack at it together. And so with that added pressure, I think that the Warriors just really needed a series this year. To have it come down to a one-game elimination situation, particularly with a team that relies so much on shooting, just will have more variance involved in it to allow, guys to step up and battle back, et cetera, et cetera. Probably a lot of people would argue the opposite. Go supernova and drop like 8 threes, 9 threes, 10 threes on you. But he can also get pretty cold. Klay Thompson, same exact thing. And you saw that tonight. Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga were the most veterans on this entire roster tonight, and they were the young guns on the team. Towards the end of the second quarter, I think the Dubs were down 12, 15 points. He made 3 pull-up mid-range jumpers in a row, and I don't think the Dubs had scored in 3 minutes or something. Podziemski's always out there battling. Alex Caruso Jr., basically, is how I think of him. And that brings me to Moses Moody. I don't understand what that man did to Steve Kerr, but I am completely out of excuses or ideas to explain why on earth Steve Kerr has not played Moses Moody more. Doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't force shots up. He doesn't overextend himself on defense. He is very tenacious defensively, but he doesn't cross the line of getting himself fouled or making bad decisions. Basically, that's what it boils down to. He scored 7 points in 4 minutes. He was the only player on this team that had a positive plus-minus. Granted, he only played 15 minutes, but it was so abundantly clear that he could have been a difference maker in this game and just did not get the go-ahead to get back out on the court. I actually thought for a moment that he was going to get the nod and become Golden State's Keon Ellis, basically their playoff counter. He's the only guy on the team that apparently can make a shot. The young guys seemed more ready for the moment than the veterans. Granted, the veterans had a lot more riding on the outcome of the game, but for it to go down that poorly is disappointing, to say the least. The last thing for Golden State, I just have to say it, watching this whole Titanic reenactment, I just kept thinking somewhere Jordan Poole is just washed with the sense of exoneration and gratitude to the universe, because maybe him getting punched in the face on international viral video in a crazy twist of fate, the universe looking out for him. Just wait for the narrative to shift around Jordan Poole from that guy was such a terrible decision maker and terrible asset to keep on our roster to one of the best, highest upside 6 men in the entire league, and you just gave him away. Just wait for that narrative to shift, okay? Great. The curse has been lifted for Sacramento after last year's Game 7 home playoff loss. Steph, of course, had a Herculean performance, maybe one of the greatest performances of his entire career. De'Aaron Fox broke his finger in Game 6. Sabonis got his chest stomped on by Draymond. All this. It was a crazy series. Sacramento is also just a little brother franchise and city to San Francisco. It just feels very poetic that it was them. You know, after last year, after even the playing styles have been so similar, their head coach, Mike Brown, was the assistant to Steve Kerr for many, many years, comes over to Sacramento. They have the best, most potent offense in the entire season last year, employing a lot of Golden State's much adorned principles. No Ellis, no win. Before Kevin Huerter went down with a dislocated shoulder a couple months ago, not even in the rotation, and tonight he played for 38 minutes, had 15 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, plus 27, 5 of 8 from the floor. He had 3 turnovers. Yeah, gonna happen. He literally has never played basketball. Undrafted, whole deal. If you want to look into his backstory, I highly, highly recommend it. It's honestly insane what he even averaged back in Alabama, and was the most important and impactful player in a single elimination game against the arch rival of the team that signed him, one of the greatest offensive players of all time. A million reasons to not meet the moment, and not only met it, but crushed it. Not only individually a phenomenal player, but he is exactly what I've been saying that Sacramento has needed: somebody with defensive pride and juice. Ellis will go out and score 4 points and finish with 5 steals and 5 blocks and be perfectly happy. And I really think it elevates their ceiling drastically. 1, that's a lot of minutes. 2, that's a lot of shots. And 3, that's a lot of makes. Set the tone from the beginning, made 3 threes in a row in the first 2 minutes of the game. I feel like in the course of the game, we just watched a metamorphosis of Keegan Murray from that Cam Johnson mold, where you're not going to 4 shots, you're not going to put it on the deck, you're not going to whatever. And by the end of the game, I think he changed his entire narrative of himself by himself. Again, 20 shots, 13 of those are threes, 7 of them were in the mid-range at the rim. He took 4 free throws as well, and he crushed it from the perimeter. Keegan is just becoming Sacramento's Klay Thompson, and we all need to start acknowledging this. Keon Ellis is becoming their Derrick White, and now we have a Klay Thompson with a Sabonis and a De'Aaron Fox here. And so I'm really feeling good about the Kings overall. Obviously, you bring back Malik Monk. That is just automatic firework ammunition. Love it. That's just another dude who's going to be flying around. We'll see. Overall takeaways now. Number 1, this is why you take the play-in seriously. Just earlier today, there were a lot of people saying,
oh, the Lakers should just punt on this game and just play Sacramento.
How do you feel about that now? Probably not as good. Granted, the Lakers look great. I mean, well, they almost dropped that game against the Pelicans late. But that is my point. This is why you take the play-in seriously. Keegan Murray had 30 points tonight and was lights out. Keon Ellis was the best defensive player on the court tonight. Stop talking about scheming the play-in. You have no idea what can happen. And 1-game eliminations, they're not typical. I don't know if there is a different mental pathway that needs to be trailblazed, but it doesn't seem to be an innate thing. Yeah, man, I would not want to play Sacramento right now, is all I would say. In a 1-game thing, that's it. So I'm so glad that this didn't end up being LeBron versus Steph. After seeing how devastating this loss was on all of the Golden State guys' faces, Klay Thompson doing a 180 of the stadium before leaving, that broke my heart, man. That broke my heart to see. Might have just added some kind of insult to injury. Everybody, of course, likes to pin LeBron and Steph against each other, the systems, the not the systems. Wouldn't have enjoyed that. At least this way, there isn't any speculative nature of, oh, we lost to one of the best players of all time. Like, how can you say it was even our? Yeah, no. Now you lost to a hobbled Sacramento team that you beat literally less than a year ago, and you just didn't have it. And now you know. This is the first legacy team to get knocked out. I just came up with that title myself. I don't know. Just, again, the sentimentality of seeing Steph's face as they walked out of the arena and the thing with Klay and Dream, like just seeing their faces and them leave. It's like, I guess I'm just starting to count down the number of runs we have left of these guys. Yeah, so that's why I say legacy team. I mean, they're the first ones to get knocked out now. The Lakers, of course, Phoenix, the Clippers, and we'll see how they fare out and how they shake out, but I just wanted to call that out. It was unexpected to me. Goodbye, Golden State. We wish you the absolute best figuring out your next moves, and I mean this sincerely. Thank you for just this hyper energetic and exciting brand of basketball. It's always going to be a characteristic, alluring element of that specific dynasty where even when they're down 15, 16 points with 5 minutes in the fourth, you just don't know. And getting to see Steph still run around and with all these faces and, you know, having seen them at the absolute top and being a pretty big hater myself most of their time there, it really, truly feels like we are turning the page. Very, very excited, again, for guys like Moses Moody and the Pajemskis and the Jackson Davises. Klay, of course, is probably going to get the shorter stick here. And that might not even be the worst thing for him from a human level and human standpoint of having an entire fan base rattle your cage and being like, why aren't you who you were? Such an entitled culture of winning among Warriors fans, which became very clear after this game, frankly. Just can't imagine that he's happy. He's obviously getting a lot of the pressure to be who he was, and he's a super, super competitive guy, so he wants to do it anyway, but then he's having to get humbled left and right while trying to play in the same system. Like, it might just be time, man. Go to Miami. I'm dead ass. You love boats, right? I think that's your thing. Just go park your boat in Miami. Just go sail. Go sail to Miami. Thank you so much for tuning in, and